Well, tonight we said a final goodbye to longtime KTIV sports director Brad Pautsch. Many members of the KTIV family joined Brad's family and friends at the Celebration of Life services at St. Michael's Catholic Church in Sioux City tonight. KTIV's Taylor Deckert shares more from the service.
We were all blessed to know Brad Pautsch.
And I'll never forget, Brad looked at me square in the eyes and he said, "I am at complete peace with this."
Baseball was like a magical place for us, washing away any worries, negativity, or responsibilities in our lives. We were kids again out there and loved every second of it.
I always felt a sense of pride when someone would come up to me and say, I watch your brother every night on KTIV and he does such an excellent job. Since I was so much younger than him, it did motivate me to want to work hard as he did and be as respected as he was.
And when he said that if he could work 30 years at KTIV covering sports, he'd take that. There was no more genuine response than that. Brad loved what he did. He loved it. He loved Siouxland. He was a small town farm kid from early Iowa that played every sport. He loved coming to work. It wasn't work for him. He was a mentor to me, but for 35 years almost, he was one of my best friends.
He was the man that I want to be, that I aspire to.
I am thankful that he will not have to suffer anymore. He fought the good fight with great courage, more courage than most of us could ever muster, I think. And now it is time for Brad to take a rest, maybe while catching one of those famous minor league baseball games that he always loved.
So I thank you, Sally, Joe, Mary, and Reggie, for letting me speak and share my thoughts about Brad, the ball player. It is truly an honor. An honor. I love you, BP. Rest easy, my friend.
Brad, you will be missed.
Rest in peace, my friend.
On Monday, KTIV aired a special tribute to Brad. You can go back and watch that anytime on KTIV.com or on the KTIV News 4 Now app.